Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to focus on the following essential questions. We're going to look at essential question number 4, what is literary text really about? And essential question number 5, how does interaction with text provoke thinking and response? And as we do this, we're going to participate in our final close read of Rogue Wave. This one's going to be for page 13. As we work through this, remember as we close read, we read for 3 different phases. First phase, what the text says. Second phase, for how the text says it. And the third phase, for why the text matters. As we go through each of the 3 phases, we're going to be looking for different things. In the first phase of the reading, you'll read through the text and you're going to look at focusing on keywords that show the point of view of the text. And then as you read through the text, focusing on the point of view and keywords that help you spot the point of view, you're going to answer the following question. What do we know about the point of view in which the text is written? Explain your answer here and the evidence you focused on for the question. This connects to the following learning targets. First, it connects to cite several pieces of text evidence in the form of concrete details from the story. This means to quote with quotation marks something from the text that jumps out at you to support yourself. It also connects to learning target number 2, to make claims in the form of inferences, conclusions, and generalizations drawn from the text. As you look back at the text in this first phase, looking for clues of the point of view, you're definitely going to be making educated guesses and drawing your own conclusions about what the point of view actually is based on the evidence you see. And mainly, this first phase is focusing on learning target number 7, to analyze how the author develops the points of view of different character or narrators in the text. When we are looking at point of view, that means to look closely at the specific parts and features in the text that help us to see the perspective of different characters or narrators or speakers within the piece you're reading. As we do that, obviously it is important to recognize that point of view can be written in first person, where the narrator is in fact a character in the story and uses I. Second person, where the narrator is speaking directly to the reader by saying we or you. Or third person, where the narrator is outside the story. They're sort of watching that story unfold, and they'll say he, she, it, they, limited if they only focus on what one character is particularly doing as the narrator. Or it's going to be omniscient, where they focus on the inner workings of thoughts for all of the characters. But the key thing here for this phase as we develop these ideas is focusing on the perspective of the piece. We need to move beyond first, second, and third person and really think about the perspective, which is the way the character sees and interacts within the world of the story. Yes, that does sound like it ties in with characterization, characters' feelings and thoughts. But the key indicator here is that sometimes the narrator is not the same as the characters. So perspective of narrators is slightly different than characterization. It's the way that voice telling the story interacts in the world of the story and sees the world of the story. And so when we focus on point of view always, when you're asked questions about point of view, you need to focus in on that perspective. And so as you're looking through this first phase for those key words, make sure that you're looking for the words that draw you in to how the narrators see that world of their story. For phase 2, as we read, we're going to look at how the text says it. You'll reread this text, and this time you're going to focus on how the author communicates that point of view. In other words, how does the author contrast the points of view of Scoot and Sully? You want to explain your answer and the evidence you focused on for this question within this phase. As you do so, you will be tying in to learning targets 1 and 2, yet again, citing evidence and making claims. But in addition to that, we're also going to be focusing in on learning target 8, to analyze how the author contrasts the points of view of different characters or narrators in the story. And as we look at contrasting points of view, you really want to focus in on what the author includes in the text that helps us see a difference in perspective between multiple characters' viewpoints, the way they're interacting with the world, the way they're seeing the world. In some cases, we might have more than one narrator. But with point of view here and contrasting it, it may not be the narrator's point of view. It might also be other people embedded in this story that have no part with the narration. In the case of this piece, it does in fact tie into the narration when we look at the contrast between the characters of Scoot and Solly and their perspective, the way they are seeing the world in the story. So keep that in mind as you answer this phase. In addition to that, with this phase, I'm asking you to use one of the following sentence starters. The author contrasts the perspectives of Scoot and Solly by, and then pick one of these words to finish that sentence off, including what, describing what, providing what, showing what, comparing what, or emphasizing what. You finish off the sentence first, and then you're going to follow that with something that you noticed in the passage that helps you understand that. The reason why we are using the sentence starter is because this question isn't just focused on what the point of view or perspective is. It's a second area too, because we have to focus on how the author, in fact, shows it. So at the end of that sentence starter will be your second trait, the second thing that you noticed that helped to communicate the point of view. Because this question has two parts. You have to address what the point of view or perspective is, but you also have to address how it's communicated. That's why we're going to use this sentence starter, finish that sentence off, and finish off the explanation with evidence and explanation. In phase 3, we're going to look at why the text matters. As you reread this for one final time, we're going to hone back in on the theme. So you'll reread this final time, looking for keywords and phrases in this section that you think helps support a theme or life lesson. We've obviously focused on theme multiple times throughout this week. So if you find that the theme is similar to a theme you did in a previous close read, you can reuse that theme, but now you'd be searching for different evidence. But keep in mind, in this phase, I ask what's the theme or message, but also how does the author use point of view of the characters to help express that theme. So make sure you're answering not just a theme, but figure out how that author's perspective or how the points of view of the narrators help to really communicate that theme or message within this section. As you read over this part, you will be honing in on the point of view or perspective of our characters, as well as to determine a theme or central idea in the text, which means to decide that hidden message about life in general that a written work gives to all readers. And then as you also complete this, you will be analyzing the theme, because by pulling a piece of evidence from this section to support yourself, you are looking closely at the text to analyze and support the theme that you found. So go ahead and get started with all 3 phases of this close reading.